What's up? This T-Shirt Kings 247.com. I recently researched all the other internet sites that sell shirts like we do. And by far, we are the cheapest. With us, you order 20 shirts, you get 60% off. You order 50 shirts, you get 65% off. It's hard for me to properly articulate the deal you're getting because it's so T-Shirt Kings 247.com, 937-603-4494. Whatever you need, we bring it right to your door. What's up with it? Welcome to For Shits and Giggles podcast. I'm Alaba Elian. I got my cousin Remy G in here and my brother Bone, or TA as you see. And we want everybody to please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you can get alerted every time we drop hot content. What's up with my bros, man? How we feeling today?
Man, everything good. Can't complain. Can't complain. Life is life.
It don't change for me. Better than I deserve, man. I'm love. Just touchdown back in the Midwest from out west. I'm good. No jet lag to speak of.
How was those tacos?
We didn't make it there. We didn't make it.
Oh, y'all didn't get a chance to go. Y'all get there.
We get chill.
Was it an actual taco spot or was it actually Taco Bell?
It was an actual taco spot. Bro found it. He showed me the website to him.
Listen, bro. I am a boss player. Okay, if I give a recommendation, it's not Taco Bell. It's authentic. You feel me? Now that is a really, man. I swear, bro. Every time I go there, I want to just go there every night. It's good though. It's real good.
Next time I go, I'm gonna have it on the hit list though. We didn't really go anywhere to eat for real of note, so it wasn't even that kind of voyage for real. But yeah. I
well, that's good. At least y'all did get a chance.
Now that I know it's real.
Mm-hmm. At least y'all got a chance to get out the city, man. You know, that's the good part about it. The chance
and
to
half of Las Vegas was there to see Chris Brown. That is like a movement, man. These people love Chris Brown. Chris Brown.
They definitely do.
They said the show was out of control. As a matter of fact, they added a night because he was originally only scheduled to be there on Friday night. And he had a second show on Saturday. And they said he is unbelievable. And in person, they say it's like 3.5 hours and he is dancing the whole time, flying around the arena and everything. And he sold out the Raiders Stadium. It was around 50,000 people there for 2 nights.
So okay. So since we talking about Chris Brown, I don't want to go too far down this road, but let me say this. For the younger generation, they think Chris Brown is like the equivalent to Michael Jackson.
And that's why they shouldn't think.
But he is to their generation. Just like
their generation.
To
their generation.
So you can't knock them for that because that to their generation it is. They
don't know what they talking about though. Like nobody is Michael Jackson, bro. Like it ain't even no category of human being as Michael Jackson. Like it's
funny you say that. That came up in discussion with a few folks while we were out there, and that was sort of the consensus. Like what Reem said is 100% true. For their generation, right. Chris Brown is Michael Jackson, but relatively speaking, Chris Brown is on Michael Jackson's radar.
No,
at least
no.
Why I say that? Because I've seen him perform and stuff, not live at a concert or anything like that. Chris Brown is a great entertainer, man. I mean, he puts on a great show. I've seen this and that. So,
wait a minute. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Prince. Dope. I don't care who it is, bro. Like Michael Jackson, his popularity, his star power, his whole everything was just. It was a lot. It was a lot, bro.
And that's not knocking Chris Brown at all, because I think Chris Brown is dope. And I've never seen.
I love Chris Brown.
I've never seen
Brown, bro.
I've never seen either one of them in concert or live. But Michael Jackson just seems to be on a whole different scale.
As far as what are we talking about? His performing? I mean, they're looking. His generation is looking at Chris Brown as how he is to entertaining them. And if they feel like, I mean, that he's a great entertainer, which he is, he's a great dancer. He can sing, he can rap, he can do all types of things. So I mean, I don't really like the whole comparison thing either like that, because I mean he's great and he should be given his props, and their generation that they look up to him, just like there was generations before us that had James Brown and other entertainers that they felt that they were the best. So I mean, just kind of got to leave it there. Give everybody their props. I think
the thing that separate them, though,
James Brown.
When we were talking about it, they said what separate them is Michael Jackson. When people were coming to see him, people were actually like falling out to see Michael Jackson. People were fainting in the stands, and it was like
China,
it was like the international appeal of Michael Jackson was something different, something that I don't think we have seen since him. Chris Brown is great. He is phenomenal. I don't think you can't truly say he takes a back seat, but that level
I'll go as far as to say Chris Brown might be Chris Brown is this era's best performer, our brightest superstar. I mean, maybe you might want to say that. To me, I don't know. I mean, you got other people that's around that you would like, for example, as far as popularity.
I had somebody say that Usher puts on just as good of a show.
That's what I'm saying. You got your Ushers, you got Usher, you got
so that's what I'm asking. What are we comparing it to? Are we just talking about how big Michael Jackson was?
Yes, it's probably superstar.
It's probably nobody, but okay, so that's why I'm asking. Are we talking about them performing? So when their generation likes the performance and says that's what it is to them, I don't think there's not too many artists besides the Beatles and stuff like that have the worldwide popularity that Michael Jackson had. So that's not even something to be debatable. But if you're talking about from this generation, when they saying that from what I've heard them say is talking about Chris Brown as a performer and saying that they feel his performances and how he performed for what they've watched is maybe as good as Michael Jackson. And that's subjective to your opinion of what you like for a performer.
Oh, we got Ebony Burks in here. Hold on. We got Ebony. Let me highlight Ebony's comment because I mean I'll take
she's an entertainer. Yeah.
Chris Brown is the greatest entertainer of our time.
And I think it may very well be true, but I think that the difference is, I think when we talk about Michael Jackson, I don't think we're talking about of our time. I think we're talking about of all time. And I think that's the difference.
Well, I find it to be, like I said, subjective, because what I've seen of Chris Brown, he puts on some shows, and there's some things that I feel that as an entertainer, he definitely does better than what Michael Jackson did. I mean, he put on
some shows. Michael Jackson put on some shows too.
He did, and I'm not taking away from that, but I'm saying that you can't take nothing away from Chris Brown and not say that he's not as entertaining and putting on shows as an entertainer does. And then he also raps in there. Michael Jackson wasn't a rapper, and there's a whole lot of things that Chris Brown do. But to their generation of saying that that's how they feel about Chris Brown, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
It's not nothing wrong with it, but I think that they're wrong. When we talk about, if they was to say, I'll say this. Let me say this. If they came and said Chris Brown is better than Michael Jackson, then I would say you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay. If they say Chris Brown is about the same, he is as Michael Jackson, I'd tell them, okay, now we need to categorize what you're talking about. But if we're just talking about as a product,
And this guy, his technical difficulties, man.
You still muted, bro.
And I was
that was not.
And I would say
okay,
that
you weren't. There you go.
But
I think that's the key of their generation. Chris Brown is the one, but I think Michael Jackson and the story is still to be told for Chris Brown though, and I think that's why it's such a big difference. You got to think our parents would say the same about Michael Jackson. Our children know who Michael Jackson is. You can't say the same for Chris Brown. Michael Jackson has, and our parents don't know who Chris Brown is. They don't know Chris Brown like that.
Okay,
it's not. They just don't.
Now Ebony's starting to think now.
And let me say this:
and as far as that with Ebony, the performer part, I don't think that Chris Brown has a Thriller moment. He doesn't have anything like Thriller. Thriller was a movie before, like he did things that were before his time. When you think about Billie Jean and the stuff that Michael Jackson was doing, no one had ever seen it before. You think about what Chris Brown has done, it's like he's trying to be as close to Michael Jackson as he can be. Michael Jackson was a trendsetter. He's just totally different, in my opinion.
I'm just talking about popularity and movement, man, and performer, like the whole product. I'm just talking about the whole product and the whole
in
energy that he's bringing. Yes, man. And I put Michael Jackson above anybody as far as popularity is concerned and just being a star. I'm talking about a superstar. I would put Michael Jackson as the biggest superstar that I've ever seen.
I agree.
Popularity does not mean that you're a better performer either. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was asking y'all from the giddy up when y'all were saying it, like, what are you trying to classify it as? Are you trying to say, you know what I'm saying, that based off of his popularity, this and that Chris Brown is not that? No, he's not. But but I don't think that's what the younger generation is classifying it on. I think they're classifying it on what they feel as far as his performance, with the show that he put on. That's where they come with saying that they feel that Chris Brown is this great and the great entertainer, because it probably is for what they're the greatest entertainer for what they have seen for their time period. So that I don't really think that's a debatable thing, because you can't tell somebody what was the best of what they seen in their eyes. So if I didn't see Michael Jackson, or I didn't grow up on Michael Jackson, and the younger generation grew up on Chris Brown, that's what they go by, and that's what they're saying. And while we got Ebony on here, because I know she probably didn't see the previous episode, I want to tell her, man, what a great job she did when she came home and put on a performance here. And we were so blessed to have her come home and put on a hell of a show, and we loved it. So thank you, Ebony.
Yeah, Ebony rocked it. Since I gotta actually send you the pictures that me and you took too, so you know, I know you probably didn't get a chance to take no pictures with Reem or nothing, but
no, I didn't see her. But I didn't see her. I was up in the crowd. I didn't even know she had came out amongst everybody. So I hate I missed this.
But okay, all right. So let's get to our football, man. Football, bro. Lamar Jackson has lost another game, you know. And again, Derrick Henry has a crucial fumble, right? At a critical time in the game. The last time he did it, the Ravens couldn't overcome it. This time he did it, the Ravens couldn't overcome it. Now, the first time he fumbled against the Bills and they ended up losing, I asked both of you guys, I said, what is the reprimand for a star player like a Derrick Henry? How do you come and approach Derrick Henry about his fumbling, right? Bones said, I mean, sometimes I guess it depends on the stature of the player. Sometimes you'll punish them, you might make them run, but definitely they will get benched. All right, so this is kind of like NFL protocol of how you handle players when they're making mistakes. You will bench them or get on them at practice or something. But let me ask you, player to player, right? You're Lamar Jackson. You're the leader of this team. Do you go to Derrick Henry and approach him about the fumbles, or do you let the coaches do that? If you are yourself frustrated with him, Lamar Jackson, frustrated for him fumbling, there's no evidence that Lamar Jackson is frustrated with him, but I'm asking if he was, how should he approach Derrick Henry?
I think the approach that Lamar Jackson would have is just to encourage him. Because I think that going in that Derrick Henry is going to be more upset than anybody else on the squad because he failed them in a critical moment, not once but twice. So what you don't want is for him to have. You want him to be ready to play it together. But I think that when it comes to Lamar,
what you say?
I'm almost 100% certain that he's going to encourage him just to keep his head, stay level, and come back. We only 3 games into the season, and you know that Derrick Henry is an all-pro talent. So you want him to get it. You want him to get his stuff together, and don't have those 2 moments lingering in his head moving forward, because if he does, it's more than likely he'll make that same mistake again. You just want him to get back to what has made him an all-pro running back and replicate that.
So what I would say is, as a teammate, I would definitely be encouraging him, because there's going to be a time that Lamar is going to have some down moments during the season, and he's going to need encouragement. So it ain't about teammates getting on somebody or trying to be at somebody because they made a couple mistakes. Nobody wants to make a mistake. You can see by Derrick Henry's reaction when he went on the sideline that he was the most, like Bone said, he was the most upset person there. It may be some fans in the crowd that want to, those fanatics we talked about, that now he's trash and he's a bum and trade him and all this and that. But that's something that you don't pay no attention to. That man went running out there with his heart every play. And then you have to also look at the plays that happened. I mean, Derrick Henry had the ball tucked. He was running. A guy came from behind him and punched it out. So now do you really, is it a technique or anything to fix for that? No. Sometimes good plays just happen. And the defensive guy made a good play, and there's nothing to do except, hey, man, we moving on from that. It's week 3. We're going to keep it moving.
What about if it happens again? If it happens again, same kind of way.
Again, that's another good play. So now you got to look at this. So now when he went past that, there was a blocker that was there, right? So is it his fault that he didn't pick up the block, that the guy was able to get in that position to make the play? That's what happens when you start to point fingers at stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that can go around to how a play that can happen. So everybody look at it and say, well, Derrick Henry fumbled. Well, if this guy was blocked, he shouldn't have been in that position to be able to come to blindside him from where he was to be able to punch the ball out. So that's why you don't get into that, and that's why most players don't get into pointing the finger and blaming at somebody. You're mad at somebody when somebody ain't competing hard. That's when you got something to say. You feel they're not playing hard and they ain't giving the effort out on the field. But when somebody's playing hard and they make a mistake, you don't trip about that.
I mean, let's say that. Okay, let's say that you got a big cuz, and everybody on the team know he really can't dribble the ball like that. But at the end of the game, he take the ball and try to bring it up court or something, dribble the ball off his foot, turnover. You won't be frustrated with him making that type of mistake?
Where was I at and why I don't have the ball? I'm the point guard. Why didn't go get the ball?
He didn't give it to you. He didn't give it to you. Just
that's
like when
Draymond
Green did that to Kevin Durant that one time, and Kevin Durant got upset in the game and they got into that bicker. Why can't
because
you're frustrated at somebody for making a mistake?
You're moving the goalpost. You're moving the goalpost now. That's not the same situation. The play was
It's
called
not
for
the same
Derrick.
situation, but it's still a mistake, though. It's a mistake.
But that's a different mistake now. So now Draymond Green made a mistake trying to do something that he's not supposed to do. That was not the play being called. Now, if Derrick Henry decided that they supposed to be running a running play and he calls an audible that nobody else is to know, and he decided after they handed him the ball to drop back 3 yards and throw a pass and throw an interception, that's a complete different thing then yeah, I'm gonna be mad at him.
He almost did that yesterday.
No, that was a play. That was a play call. He didn't do that on his own.
I know it was a design play, but he's still
what you're talking about with Draymond Green was somebody that sat over there and said, "Hey, this play is being ran to KD." He got out there and said, "Ah, dog, I got this," and took off and did something completely different. That's a totally completely different thing than what we're talking about. That's
okay,
not.
But is there a reason? So is there a reason to get on Draymond for something like that as a teammate?
Yeah, I would definitely be frustrated with that. Like, hold on, dude. What's KD saying? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a play. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we run out here, we done ran it, we got this play design, and it's supposed to go to me or Steph that we get this shot, and you just decide not to even look to run the play. Oh, I'm about to do my own thing. Yeah, that's a problem.
What's more important, Bone? I'm gonna come to you on this one. What's more important, bro? Is the bond between two teammates and encouraging your teammate, or winning? Because, like, let's say you had a best friend, right? Let's say that Lamar Jackson, and everybody out in the chat, please answer this question too, right? Let's say you got a best friend on the team. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are best friends,
right?
But let's say Derrick Henry just turns into a fumbling machine. All right, like this is just the start of some fumbling problem that he had, a psychological problem this year. Should Lamar want Derrick Henry to go to the bench if he keeps making critical fumbles, or does he need to keep encouraging him as a teammate?
I think that you're gonna encourage a person, especially if they're your friend, regardless. And if you are friends, if y'all have that bond and y'all respect one another on that level, you shouldn't have any problem with having a conversation with them about his performance. If his performance is a detriment to y'all winning, I don't think that I use myself as an example. I want to say maybe 1 or 2 games, I want to say my senior year, where I felt like I already knew I didn't play well. I didn't play as good as I thought I should have. And my boy D, he asked me, he was like, "You good, bro?" And it was more so like, "Man, we need you." So he didn't definitely recommend or suggesting that I should go to the bench. But our friendship is the reason why he came to me. And I don't think anybody else on the team would do that. If you're friends with somebody, you want them to play at their best. You want them to play at their highest. So you're going to be able to come at them like, "Hey, man, what's up with you?" In the case of Derrick Henry, what you're talking about, I don't think anybody on that team, if he's fumbling the ball and it becomes a trend, I still don't think that they have anyone that you would trust more than you would trust him, just because of the resume that he has. I just can't see them saying, "Oh, it's better to go to the second string guy or the third string guy." So you're going to ride that horse because he got y'all there. So you don't want to go and say, "Oh, put him to the bench." I guess I'll throw the question back to you. Do you think there's a point within like the next 2 or 3 games, if fumbling the ball, that you would say benching? Because I don't think that benching him is the answer.
It's a tough spot. I mean, realistically, no,
I don't think it's that tough.
So I don't want that to happen. Like, man, I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, but you guys know in sports, I'm talking about the for real locker room and how sports is processed behind the scenes. So that's why I like getting Remy's take on stuff, getting your take, to just see, like, what's the normal protocol of a team when you got a star player that's falling off? I mean, anybody can go to the bench though, right?
So with that being said, when you look at the situation with Derrick Henry, you don't have nothing better than him that's in the second string. So as a player on the field, you want your teammate to be able to get better, to be able to perform, because you know what's behind him isn't better, and you're not going to get what you get from Derrick Henry. So therefore, you're going to encourage him, because there's nobody there to bring in and say, oh yeah, we putting him to the bench because he fumbled the ball. Now the thing with Derrick Henry is he's not really a fumbling type of guy. But the problem is that if you look at his career, the majority of his fumbles occur in the fourth quarter. So now that's something that you know what I'm saying, that you maybe can have a discussion about, or try to realize of what situation that what you putting him in, what happened to cause those fumbles in the fourth quarter. But if you Lamar, no, you're not saying that, because what you don't want is that when Lamar have a couple bad games, or he throw the ball, or he throw interception and this and that, because and then Derrick Henry saying, hey, we need to put Lamar on the bench. We need to bring in another quarterback. No, that's not what you want. And so as a thing too, we're talking about the Ravens. Is it truly a Derrick Henry problem, or is it a defensive problem that the defense is giving up 30-some points every game? Because their offense have been producing what they're averaging in 3 games. What is it, 35 or 36 points a game, and they're losing. And they're not losing 1 and 2. So then that means that there's something going on the defensive end that needs to be addressed and talked about the performance of the defense, because this is not the defense that we've grown accustomed to see from the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens has always had a strong defense, and that's not what we're seeing now in no form or fashion. So that's what needs to be. I think that's more of a concern than what's happening with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple of things going wrong with that. They got pushed around a little bit. I think Detroit as a team ran for over 200 yards. And if you are the Baltimore Ravens, that is sort of the team's success sort of is predicated on the defense stopping the run and them being able to run the ball. I think a more glaring stat is, one, like I said before, Detroit ran for 200 yards, but Derrick Henry, I think going into that fourth quarter, he had only ran the ball 12 times. And a lot of that, for running backs, he got to touch the ball. And I don't think it's by coincidence, he had that fumble in a critical situation, but he only had touched the ball a few times in the game. So, is that a situation where they sort of went away from what is their strength? And, what they got to play. I know they coaches get a lot of critique, as they should. But it's a balancing act when you got somebody as good as Derrick Henry, but you got somebody as good as Lamar Jackson. Do you want to let him air it out, or do you want to run the ball, take the air out the ball? And it's a balance. And I think that he got to touch the ball a sufficient amount of times, and you still have to allow Lamar Jackson to do what he does. And that's difficult. Most teams don't.
Can I ask the chat something? The chat, please, everybody that's in here, hit the like button. Make sure that you hitting the like button when you come in, and subscribing is good too. But just make sure you please hit the like button and stay in the comments for us. So the question that I wanted to ask was this: Derrick Henry had 3 chances to get a touchdown from the 1 yard line. All right. And they didn't get in. And whose fault is that? I see Big Shep in the comments. Shep, Will, bruh, Chad, Ryan. Whose fault is it when the back don't break the goal line from the 1 3 times? Big bruising back like Derrick Henry.
Well, they only ran it twice, right? They ran twice, and then they tried to.
And they went all 4 downs because they didn't score, did they?
They tried to throw it on the down to some trick sort of play action play something.
On 4th down.
I just
fumbled the ball.
I'm a defensive guy, so I give credit to the defense. You shut somebody out from the red zone or within the 5. Hey, your defense showed up. They was better than you in that situation. I think they probably could have had some more creative play calls to try to score, because everybody know Derrick Henry getting the ball. But I understand both sides of it. If you 1 yard out, give it to Derrick Henry and let him run over somebody. But they was up to the challenge, so I give it up to the defense for stopping him.
Yeah, you give the D their respect, but then ultimately when he asking the question of who fault is it, well, if you give them the D the respect that they stepped up and stopped him, that means that the offensive line did not win their one-on-one matchup to create enough space in a hole for him to get through to get the 1 yard. So ultimately, you gotta give it. It might have been poor play calling or whatever, but ultimately the one-on-one matchups at that front four, you didn't win it because there was no hole or no gap for that man to get in to get a yard. And that's what it comes down to, because ultimately in all sports, it comes down to people winning their matchups in the game. Period. That regardless of how team-oriented everything it is, at some point in time, every person, when you're on the field, you have to win your matchup. And that up front, at the offensive, at the point of attack in football, and you're dealing with the line, either the defensive line going to win their matchup and they're going to stop you, or the offensive line going to win their matchup and create a hole for you.
But it's not zero Derrick Henry's fault.
That's what I'm
saying it's not zero that it's his fault, because you still want him to try to get through there. Whether you got to go over top or somewhere to get through there, it's enough fault to go around for everybody. When that happens, it's a little bit of everybody's fault. It's a little bit of everybody's fault.
Well, I want Derrick Henry to, in order for my football season to go right, man, it's dependent a lot on Derrick Henry hanging on to those balls, Lamar Jackson. Now, I will say one thing, and then Reem, I want to get to your topics, bro. But one thing that I did want to say that I had to tell you guys that I was wrong about and y'all was right about was Lamar Jackson running. Remember, I was saying he needs to run more, and Dad was like, no, he doesn't. And Bone was saying he's gonna get crushed and get broke. Man, bro, and Reem talking about they'll come from behind him, and everything that y'all said could possibly happen to him was happening. He got sacked 7 times, bro. Exactly. 7 times.
And that's a problem right there.
That's a big problem, and that might lend more credibility to what Shep was saying in the comments and about the offensive line. I mean, the offensive line couldn't get no push to help get Derrick Henry across the goal line, and they wasn't really protecting Lamar Jackson. He was running a lot, and he got sacked 7 times, like we said. So.
And I'm gonna say something about Lamar that I don't want anybody to take the wrong way at all. You know what I'm saying? Because in no form or fashion am I saying at 28 that he's done, and because he's not, he's still a great quarterback. But last night, Lamar didn't look like the Lamar, because it was a lot of times when he tried to break free, and it didn't seem like he had that extra alien speed that he normally had to get there. So you get to wondering sometimes, has he been ran too much? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now, and this is the thing that with a Lamar Jackson and a Mike Vick, their legs had an extra ordinary that somebody else didn't have. You had a burst that nobody else had. So now, when that burst starts to slow down and people catch up with you, it was times I seen that they had a spy on him, and that spy was standing there one-on-one. And the movements that Lamar normally had with the quick twitch to change directions, that direction wasn't changing that quick. And I feel he got stopped a few times in there. So now you have to wonder, and this is why quarterbacks have to be able to throw the ball also. And Lamar threw some great balls last night. He really threw some great balls and some great passes, and they're just going to have to make some adjustments to be able to put him in the right position that they need to be in to win.
Well, they got Kansas City coming up.
Is Detroit. I think a lot of that, and that's why I gave credit to Detroit stopping them on the goal line.
Yes.
If you watch that game, they had a hell of a scheme to stop Lamar Jackson. And when you're playing from behind, as the Ravens were, they they go away from their strengths. Their strengths is running the ball. And like I said before, Derrick Henry only touched the ball 12 times. If you notice, when a lot of games that people highlight in the playoffs, what they end up happening with the Ravens, everyone said every time for the most part, why didn't they run more? Why did he have him throwing so much? And if they get behind, the reality is you put Lamar in some unenviable positions. And I think he's at his best when he has the run game to lean on and he can throw whenever he wants to. Detroit, they had a linebacker spying him, but they weren't rushing to sack him. They were rushing to contain him. And it worked. Detroit has a hell of a defense. And I don't think that you're going to find too many defenses in the league that are going to be able to do that to Lamar Jackson.
I get that, but what I'm talking about is just looking at him, like I said, with that spy, that they not rushing and he coming out trying to make something happen, and that spy was able to. It was moves that we normally seen Lamar make and have a burst that people couldn't stop him, and he was able to be stopped last night. And sometimes that's saying that, man, our legs, because it's two things out here that I know to be undefeated out here, and that's the streets and Mother Nature. and with three, and Father Time. And when Father Time get to catching up on you, and certain things aren't the same, you know what I'm saying? And he needs that burst. And I saw some things last night that I was like, looked like Lamar was a little slower than what he normally has been. I mean, that ain't the first time that teams have put a spy in there on him. But we've seen him make spies look bad. And he didn't do it.
It's the first time that they had a spy in the way that they did. And I think Detroit has personnel that matches up. I mean, I might be wrong, but Detroit they're going to give people fits with their defense. And it's one thing to have a spy that you can get away from, but it's another thing to have rush ends that can move like Hutchinson and them boys that they have on their D-line. It makes you second guess. And then when you as a quarterback start doing that, you're going to look a little bit slower. And that's all it takes for that person to come from behind or don't give up on the play and be able to sack you. I would almost be willing to bet that Lamar Jackson is not going to look like that against any defense, because not many people can put together the packages that Detroit does. They've got some dudes on their defense, some real live ones. Mm-hmm. That is one of the reasons that he looked as slow as he did. If you see, like when he was scrambling and stuff, he's looking for people. And that slows you. A lot of times when people are putting together rush packages for Lamar Jackson, you're telling your rush ends to get after him. The packages that they had for him, exactly what they did, make him not look downfield and look at where those people were coming from. And it make a huge difference. It make a huge difference. And I don't think nobody else can really do that to him. Not really.
Except for Buffalo.
Buffalo ain't really do that to him.
Nah,
they don't really have the personnel.
They would have won if Derrick Henry didn't fumble.
You ain't gonna let that go.
Let's move on to the so we can go over these results real quick for the last week, God. And then we can move on to some other than football. So we had the Dolphins and the Bills on Thursday night. The Bills won that one. Hava picked that. Me and Bone both picked the Dolphins. We lost on that one. Then going to the Sunday night games, we had the Vikings and the Bengals. Both of y'all picked the Vikings. Then we had the Texans versus Jaguars.
Hey, who'd you pick?
I picked the Bengals.
Wait a minute. Stop. Hold up. The Bengals got to be 48-3, bro. Are you?
Man, they got destroyed. They look completely terrible.
Okay, and cuz you told me that this isn't gonna happen, but man, I want to be the first one to just throw this out here. Hopefully, it'll grow some legs, bro. Get Shador to the Bengals, bro. Get Shador to the Bengals right
now. Yeah, right now. That's not gonna grow any legs. So we could go on to his partner that played with him at Colorado with the Jaguars. They beat the Texans this week. Then we had the Colts versus the Titans. We all picked the Colts. They won that game. Raiders versus Commanders. We all picked the Commanders. Won that game. Then we had the Eagles and the Rams. Bone picked the Rams. Me and Cuz picked the Eagles. Then we had the Falcons versus the Panthers. Bone was the only one that picked the Panthers, and they won that game. And actually, they routed the Falcons.
Man, you know, and I want to say something about that one. Bone, you did good. You stood strong, bro. I knew I shouldn't have picked the Falcons. So
why? The Panthers have not looked good at all this year. Why would you have not?
I wanted to go because
division game, more experienced quarterback.
But that is not actually what Bone said last week when he picked them. When he picked them,
I said last week,
he said this is a throw week for me.
It's a throwaway week. I'm giving y'all a chance. I stand on it. It's a throwaway week.
So
I mean, he still did pretty good though. He still came out on top on a couple of these games like this one.
Yeah, so that's it. So then the next one we had the Steelers versus the Patriots. We all picked the Steelers. Then we had the Packers versus the Browns. We all picked the Packers, and the Browns messed around and won that game. Was absolutely some bad football, but what you have to give credit to is that Myles Garrett dominated that game, and he made plays that sure enough changed things. Man,
Rhino said he don't want Shador.
Yeah,
hey, he's a big boy Cincy fan, and he don't want it.
We're ignoring
there's something wrong. Think about that. He's saying he don't want Shador, and he's a big boy Cincy fan.
And they just got murdered with a quarterback that looked.
I mean, they've been getting murdered their whole life, their whole careir. But I mean, I understand. You don't want Burrow. You want Burrow, but Burrow is nothing more than just he's an injury.
Do that, bro.
You know, he's an injury, bro. He's an injury. Now he's out for 3 months, but you don't want Shador. Okay.
So let's go to the next game. We got the Jets and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers pulled that out in a close one, and so y'all both picked the Buccaneers. I do want to go back to that Eagles-Rams game, how that game ended.
That was a good game.
Yeah, that was
a
good game.
Should have won that game.
The Rams should have won it. Yes, I mean not should have, but they could have won. Right. I thought you was gonna get
that last play shows a whole lot about what goes on in the NFL and what we talked about last week as far as the front four and how athletic those big guys have become. That changes, it makes a difference in the game. So did y'all see that big man moving down the field to run that for a touchdown?
Davis, he's well over 300 pounds, and they said that they clocked him at almost 18 miles an hour when he was running to the end zone.
Exactly. That man was moving. That man was moving. And we ain't really seen guys move like that. You know what I'm saying? I remember Cuz on here, Shep on here, right? I remember seeing Shep pick up one and he broke down at the goal line, didn't he?
He scored. Shep scored on that. I think that was against NC State, if I remember correctly. He went to the crib.
But he wasn't moving like big boy.
Shep had to put that in the chat. Was that against NC State? He ran all the way back to the bench and then fell out.
Right, but big boy ran in on in and still was cool to celebrate everything. We saw Shep break down. He got there at the one he scored, but he was breaking down and he was gassed out. You know what I'm saying? These big guys down, like you said, well over 300 pounds, moving like that, man, that makes a difference in the game. That makes a difference of what coming off them ends and coming off in the middle of chasing. Shep said he ran 20 miles per hour.
I ran 20 miles per hour. For a touchdown.
Talk that talk, Shep. Talk that talk.
Yeah, Shep, we gonna bring you up on the panel, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. So Yeah, I just wanted to make that point on that, man. With how that game ended, man, and looking at just talking about how athletic these big guys have really become in the game nowadays, and what a difference has changed in the game. So now moving on to the Broncos versus the Chargers. We all picked the Chargers in that game. Then we had the Seahawks and the Saints. Y'all both picked the Seahawks. I picked the Saints. The Seahawks won that game. Then a game that we all lost, which not surprised with rooting for with picking the Cowboys, but the Bears and the Cowboys, and the Bears ended up winning that game, which didn't see, but I guess it was time that, Caleb Williams stepped up and played a good game. These are pros here, so we're not expecting to see people perform badly every week. So he definitely had a turnaround and had a big game. Then we have the Cardinals and the 49ers. We all picked the Cardinals in honor of, I know me and Cuz was talking about with Speakeasy that we was honoring him and picked the Cardinals, and they took an L to the 49ers. And and then also
I chose the 49ers, right?
No, you chose the Cardinals.
Oh yeah, that's
we
right.
all chose. Yeah, we all chose the Cardinals. And then the Sunday.
Hey, I think one of them games, I think Bone picked the Broncos. And
no, he didn't. He picked the Chargers. We all picked the Chargers.
Didn't.
Yeah, because we both like Jim Harbaugh.
I didn't pick the Broncos.
Yeah.
We like hard, yeah, because you like me and you like me
in the armor. My throwaway.
Me and you like Harbaugh.
and then the Sunday night game, we had the Chiefs and the Giants. We all picked the Chiefs, and the Chiefs pulled that game out. And then Monday night game, which have been talking about, so we don't need to talk no more about that game, which was the Lions. I'm not picking no more. Lions and the Ravens, and we all picked the Ravens, and they lost that game. So the update on the score for the week: Hava 9-7, Bone 11-5. I was 7-9 for the week. So over the last 2 weeks, the updated scores: Hava 19-13, Bone 20-12, and I'm 13-9.
So I'm trying to give y'all a chance to get in the mix.
19 and 13. So this week, Bone was 11-5 again.
Yep.
And this was my throwaway week.
And that was a throwaway week.
It wasn't a throwaway week if them games that you was trying to throw away won.
Nah,
the Rams. I think the Rams is the only one. And I was this close to. I picked the Rams to win, and I was this close to picking Cleveland because I would pick them.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers.
And he picked he picked the Panthers.
I knew the Panthers was going to win that game.
I was thinking about the Panthers in that one. But you up on me by one game. That's it. I'm 19-6, you 20-5.
You were 9-7 the first week.
You clearly 19-6. 19.
You were 9-7. You were 9-7.
I'm with Emma.
19-13. 19-13 and Bone 20-12.
19
wins. Yeah.
Okay, 19 and 13. I'm sorry, 19 and 13. You're one game.
No. I am not. If I was 11-5 both weeks, I have.
You should be 11-5 both weeks. You was 9-7 the first week, Bone.
No, I wasn't.
Hold on.
You robbed. Bro,
I
was 11-5. I'm actually 22.
I
press. What's it? What am I trying? I protest.
Okay, you're right. I did the one off of because I had two of them for last week when I didn't update the Monday night. You're right. So yeah, you 11-5 both weeks. So you 22-10. Cuz is 19 and 13. Yep.
He's up 3 games.
I don't see how he's real close with me, bro.
Games up. 3 games up. That math still don't add up, but it's okay. I was 9-7 2 weeks in a row. I would be because that means I'm 18.
You were 9-7 this past. You were 9-7 this past week.
You was 10-6 this week.
10-6 this week. Okay. You said I was 9-7 though.
No, I said last week 9-7. 10-6, 9-7.
10-6, 9-7. Okay. I want to do. All right. Then I know y'all took a game from me, but that's okay. I remember that.
Which game was taken from you, bro?
That game that, remember, y'all, it was like halftime and we called the game. Y'all said, we were saying that such and such couldn't come back and win. I was like, oh man, they could come back and win. They could.
You talk about the Packers and the Commanders. Okay, well, we'll give you that game, cuz. So you'll be 20-12. Okay, there you go. 20-12.
You don't deserve
Thank
that.
you. And that was right. See, that's why I've been telling you about.
There you go.
I always tell you about Reem. So
that's terrible,
I don't know
right
what
there,
to
man.
say. I'm shit. He does the right thing. That's what I said. If I had one person, all right, and I was away, and I've done this. This isn't something I'm just saying I would do.
You
if
made
I
a
had one
pick.
person
You made a
pick
pick
up money or something like that, it's called Reem. He's the one person that's honest, bro. Honest. So I don't know.
That's not your pick.
Let's change the subject. Remy, you had something to talk about.
Yeah, it's some things I want to bring up. It's also touched back on a subject that we had a few weeks ago when it came up about nepotism and stuff like that. So seeing yesterday that Bruce Pearl has decided to retire from coaching from basketball, which I often question how he was able to get a job so quickly again after all the violations that he had when he was at Tennessee, that he was then able to get the job at Auburn. So now he's retiring from Auburn as a coach, and I think in a quest to go for political office. But in doing that, he was able to walk his son right into and his son gets a job. And now he's the head coach at Auburn. And the way I really want to talk about this is looking at it, because going back to like what we talked before, and Bone, you had made a lot of statements and saying how Shador had benefited from all this stuff from his father. So I'm looking at all these coaches in the NFL, college sports, basketball, football, everything, and how a lot of these kids are benefiting, white kids, and getting coaching positions because of their fathers. But yet, in the media and stuff like that, when it has been for like that Bronny or just black fathers that's trying to step up to be in a position to help their kids and going to the forefront for their kid, it's been villainized. You know what I'm saying? From what Deion has tried to do for his sons, or what Bronny was able, or what Bron was able to position to put Bronny in, to LeVar Ball being talked about for how he do with his kids. So I'm starting to feel that it's low key like criminal for us as black men to take these shots and say, well, this is daddy ball or this is that and that, for when black men are helping their kids get into position to be able to be successful, to do things, because we have watched white men do this time and time again and get celebrated for the positions that they put their kids in. But black men are not celebrated for what they do for theirs. And that is something that I feel it definitely needs to be talked about and addressed, because this is it is getting completely out of hand and ridiculous. I mean, to see how LeVar Ball was literally taken to where the media tried to actually turn his own kids against him. But yet we celebrate these white men who put kids in position who are not, in a lot of situations, not even qualified to hold the positions that they hold. So I just want to see what y'all take is on that situation and these things that are happening in the sports world with the nepotism that takes place for the white counterparts.
I didn't know Bruce Pearl was actually like white for real. It always seemed like both to me. But man, I think that that's the way that things should be. So I don't got a problem with somebody working hard and then passing an opportunity down to their child. Like, I feel like that's the way that things should go. The problem is when bros do it, like what you saying, it gets looked at like it's hateful. It's hateful. There is a war, or just like I don't want to say a war, but there is kind of like some type of like agenda to make Black fathers look as bad as possible, you know, and part of it is done through some of these programs that they offer, and other things is just done through the media. The media's agenda to demonize Black men, and especially Black fathers, either being absent or being like showing favoritism or doing daddy ball with their sons. It's like you can't win for losing. So, I mean, I think nepotism is just a normal part of life. You know, I mean, when we look at God, we see that he let his son be next in charge with Christ. He didn't go pick some other person. He picked his own son. So if we start on nepotism, are you gonna get into it with God? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness. You follow that up because I don't have no clue where that came from right there.
I can't do it. I can't do it. What I will say to sort of encapsulate everything that where we started at, where we at with that. To a certain degree, I don't think that I think that the Bruce Pearl situation, I think he's got a long track record of issues. And to your point, like even before he got to Tennessee, he had a lot of stuff that was sort of sketchy in his background. But as far as him getting, he did, I think he was at Iowa or something like that beforehand, before he went to Illinois or like that, but he was an assistant, I believe, but he got caught up with trying to give improper benefits to a player and got into some trouble before he became the head coach down there in Tennessee. So but I think the whole nepotism thing, man, I think that it's sort of nuanced, man. I think Bruce Pearl, in a lot of ways, he did what he was supposed to do in terms of putting his son in position. No different from what Deion does. I think when people say that if this comment is made that they are getting vilified, that's where I don't necessarily think that Deion got vilified for putting his son in position of playing quarterback at Colorado. I don't think he was vilified for that.
Other than my TA on For Shits and Giggles podcast.
No, I never vilified him. I said that Shedeur benefits from having Deion Sanders as a father.
And you called it daddy ball, which
daddy ball.
There's in no form or fashion that daddy ball cannot be taken rather than a negative term. And if you look it up, that's what it said. It's a negative terminology that's being used.
But this is my thing. I'm consistent. Negative, that's fine. But I think what Bruce Pearl is doing with his son is daddy ball. I think we get all up in a knot by saying this has a negative connotation attached to it. But be very clear, what happened in Colorado, that was daddy ball. I don't care how you say it or how it makes you feel. What Bruce Pearl is doing with his son is daddy ball. That man probably would never have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for Bruce Pearl. I think what we get caught up, and that's why I said it's nuanced, because we get caught up and worry about the feelings that certain words, they may trigger us or make us feel some sort. If you tell Bruce Pearl that was daddy ball, I think Bruce Pearl would say, so what? My son's going to be the coach, and I don't really care how it makes you feel, and it don't make me feel no kind of way that it is daddy ball. because he in his mind, in his heart of hearts, I think knows that his son wouldn't have that job if it wasn't for his father. And just like I said about Shedeur, he benefits from having Bruce Pearl as his father. Shedeur Sanders benefits by having Deion Sanders as his father. That's what I said from the beginning, and it's consistent. I'm never
and
going to stop.
And you should. And you
so
should.
with you
Everybody
saying that is cool. That is cool if you're gonna go with it both ways. But the difference of what I'm talking about is this is not what the media does. Deion has been vilified. Brian has been vilified. Look, we got Brian on here classifying Shedeur as Bronny Sanders. This is what I'm talking about. That people want to take shots at them for the situations that opportunities that they get put into because of their fathers, but yet we're watching every week. We're watching football games being coached. That some cats because their grandfathers coach, their daddies coach, their this and that, and some of them didn't even play college football, but they were able to be brought up into an opportunity and coach. But that's never talked about. That ain't what talked about before the game. When the game comes on and it talk about how this guy's the coach. It's he's such and such, and now it's presented as a royalty of a lineage. But when black men do it, man, his son don't deserve that. Man, this shit, he shouldn't be getting that. And it's talked about when all black men are doing is being fathers to their kids and doing exactly what the both of y'all said should happen. You should be able to put your kid into a position off of the work that you've done. But that is not what we get from the media at all. It's vilified. These men have been vilified consistently. Bruce Pearl has broken laws after laws after law, but now was still able to be in a position to put his son in position to do something. That does not happen for black men.
But I think to that point, though, they, just like Chef said, he putting his people on. And I think that, not to make this overly a Deion thing, but I think that Deion, if you ask him to a man, Coach Prime knows. And I think that's why my critique of him is what it is. If anyone knows me, they know that Deion Sanders is, in my mind, the best player. I'm a humongous Deion Sanders fan. But one thing I think that he knows is, and let's be clear, nepotism isn't just your family that you are closest to, whether they be friends or associates, whatever the case may be. In the case of Deion, I think he knows in college football and in NFL, head coaches are primarily the job that they had before they became a head coach was a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator 80 to 90% of the time. The latest and greatest offensive coordinator or D coordinator is most of the times selected to be head coaches and in college. The issue I have with Deion is I think that he knew that. My problem with him and like the program that he's together in Colorado and even in Jackson State, both of his offensive coordinators were white, and his defensive coordinators were white, even when he was at Jackson State. And he always would push the narrative. He's trying to put these coaches, he's going to get coaches that look like us and they're going to be moved up and they're going to do this, that, and the third. And for me, I'm like, come on, bro, you telling us one thing, but you're doing another. Deion doesn't necessarily need coaching. I think that when you look at how everything played out, he definitely made the moves that he made to benefit to his sons. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that. But I think what he said to the people at Jackson State would lead you to believe that he was going to be there longer. And as long as you can say that you can get more resources, you're always going to be vulnerable to go to vote for like a D1 program or larger D1 program. But I think that he was, in a lot of ways, he was very calculated and sort of maneuvered that was just going to put him and those closest to him in the best position. And whether that's right or wrong, I think that's for you to decide. But I think that he did what he did to get his sons in a position to get to the next level. It wasn't necessarily the same things that he said he wanted to do, when he first accepted that job at Jackson State. So, but that's all that to say, I don't necessarily think he gets vilified, but I think he gets critiqued in a way that's, in some cases, fair, in some cases not.
I disagree with the fact of that he didn't do what he said he was going to do at Jackson State. He left Jackson State in a better place than when he got it, and that's all you can ask for anybody. That's all, and that's all you can ask for anybody to do. But when you talk about taking care of coaches, why did Eddie George say he left Tennessee State and went to Bowling Green? Because he wanted to put his assistant coaches. He wanted to put his assistant coaches in a position that they could make more money, and and he took his staff with him to Bowling Green, which is the same thing that Deion did with going to Colorado.
I'm not arguing that, Reem. The only thing I'm saying is if Deion, what he was saying about how he was going to get his coaches, definitely you want to get them more money, all of that, but he had one black OC or one black DC since he's been the coach. That's what I'm saying. If you're about uplifting these coaches and getting Pat Shurmur was an NFL coach. He don't need to be no DC or OC at Colorado, not necessarily. But if you're about giving these opportunities to me, and you know that this is where they're talent to go to the next level, why not give a black person a try that's trying to get there? He's flooded his coaching staff with ex-NFL guys. That's cool, but they don't necessarily need coaching, and they really haven't put that nepotism as well. He's getting those guys in. They don't necessarily need to coach, nor have they had any coaching resume. But who would you rather learn from? A new and upcoming coach or Marshall Faulk? So I think it just goes both ways, and you have to be willing to have that conversation as well, because the moment we throw it out there as nepotism, they're going to say nepotism the other way, because that's clearly nepotism when you look at his coaching staff and you've got Warren Sapp, Marshall Faulk, and all.
That's nepotism. Him hiring Warren Sapp.
That is nepotism. You think Marshall? That is nepotism, but I don't think it's anything.
No, wait a minute. No. Bro. Wait a minute. No, hold on. Wait a minute now. You're telling me that it's nepotism because these coaches that he's hiring, he knows them?
They're his friends. Yes, that's nepotism.
Are they qualified?
They're his friends because they're colleagues. They're
none of them
played in the NFL.
Hold on, Ring. What I would say is no, in the sense that they haven't been coaches. None of them have been coaches before. Warren Sapp hadn't, Marshall Faulk hadn't, and
that's why they're not coordinators.
No. You're not qualified. People would say you're not qualified to be a coach because you don't have coaching experience.
Who is people?
Exactly. And how do you get coaching experience if you never coach? And so so if you have a plain resume and you decide you're wanting to coach,
I'm not saying
and you wanting to coach, and I hire you, does that mean so if I decided now, if somebody said, Reem, come be a football coach. I ain't never coached football before, okay? And I come coach football. You haven't coached before, but you played DB. And I said, Bone, come be my DB coach.
No,
I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying. Wait a minute. Y'all are getting it twisted around a little bit.
I'm just saying at that level, Reem, they're going to expect you to have had coaching experience. That's all. I'm not saying that they're unqualified. They're Hall of Fame players, but that's still that they don't have experience.
Nepotism, DEI, are both things that's basically insinuating that the person that is receiving the job is not qualified.
Exactly.
Because if your son is good and you put him on the team because he, like, everybody knows he deserves it. Like, let's say the number one, let's say that LeBron's dad was the owner of the Cavaliers or the coach of the Cavaliers. And when he was coming out of high school, if they picked him, would you have called that nepotism? And he went on to be one of the greatest players of all time? Is it nepotism if the child is actually good enough to? Is it nepotism if the child deserves it and is qualified?
No, it's not, and that's my point of what I'm saying.
Bone, is that nepotism? If the person is qualified,
say it again.
If the child is qualified, is it still nepotism?
If they are given a position, so my understanding of nepotism is given a position solely based on your relationship with whoever the person is that's making the decision to give you that position. That's nepotism.
That's not what it comes down to. Nepotism is when you're given positions that you're not qualified for, and that somebody else. And that's also the same thing as what it means as far as with daddy ball. Daddy ball is associated with you putting your kid in a favorable position when somebody else is better. Or somebody else is that. So now you put your kid in this position and you basically are shitting on somebody else in order to put them into this position.
Right. So I don't see how him hiring Warren Sapp is how that nepotism.
So if we put a pool into a job, and I'm hiring for a job, and I put your resume in there along with somebody else's resume, and you're more qualified than this person, and because I trust you because we have a relationship, that's not nepotism. Now, if this other person
I'm looking directly at the definition of nepotism. It is the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. Nowhere in the definition of, and this is coming from the Oxford Dictionary, nowhere does the word qualify come to it. If you give someone a job based on them being close to you or an associate, that is nepotism by definition. I don't know.
But what you're adding to
it is what you want to be added to it. The definition of nepotism is giving someone a job, and I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. You give someone a job because you're close to them. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with.
What about if you're not giving the job because you're close to them? You're giving them the job because
they're
qualified. You're not. I just know you.
Two things can be true. I'm not getting mad about it.
I know, but if I need somebody to give us a speech and you're an award-winning speech giver, why wouldn't I call my bro and be like, bro, come and tear the house down? You didn't get nepotism into this job. I hired you to come and do a job that you're qualified for. It had nothing to do with me and you being close. Like, for example, if you need some t-shirts made, right, and you come to me,
right,
is that nepotism?
Yes, it is.
I'm not saying how is that
two things can be true. You can be the best person at doing the job of doing shirts, and I come to you solely because you're the best at it. But given our
let's read the definition again. Read the definition again. I'll do that again. Because I think that we might
nepotism.
Be adding. Okay, let's see.
I'm not adding anything. I'll
not you. I'm talking about just me. I am. Let me hear
the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. That is nepotism. It's not saying whether you're qualified. It's saying that you are benefiting by having a relationship with someone.
Showing favor means exactly it does. So it may not strictly say about being qualified, but showing favor means that you're giving somebody something that they may not actually have the qualification or deserve because you're showing favor. If I'm hiring you because you're the best, I'm not showing favor. I'm not showing favor if you're the best at what you're doing.
Right.
That's not favor. That's you being qualified and being the best at it. So this is why I hired you to do this job.
That is
subjective. I don't think that if somebody is qualified, I don't think daddy ball is happening if the child is actually qualified. And I don't think nepotism happens if you are not, if you're not giving them this position because they're your friend, but because they're actually the best at it. You know, because to me, I think that like when we're talking about nepotism, there's some like bull crap behind it all, because I think nepotism came from some
because
king that was
nepotism has
appointed.
a negative. It has a
But
negative
it comes from
connotation attached to it, and that's fine.
I think it comes from, I think, some king or somebody like putting somebody in position after they was going to be gone to succeed them. And so that the Nepo, and I think that the king's name was like Nepo or something. We have to look at the root word for it, but it does have something to do with somebody being given something that somebody else would probably be doing a better job at. So that's the spirit of nepotism. That's the spirit.
I'm saying is, what you're doing is making it into what you want it to be. All I'm saying is nepotism is just what the definition is.
You're conveniently sidestepping the word favor as to make it seem like that doesn't have anything to do with it. That word favor, yes, you're overlooking somebody else.
So in there, so Eric asked a great question here to get back on the sports side of it. Well, if that's the court that he's showing nepotism by hiring Warren Sapp and Marshall Faulk, who's better than Warren Sapp and Marshall Faulk to come coach those positions? Who's better?
Who's better than Warren Sapp and Marshall Faulk
to coach those positions that they coach? So who would you find that's a better D lineman to coach D linemen, and who do you find that's a better running back than Marshall Faulk to coach them?
I wouldn't necessarily say I don't know, and I wouldn't want to turn it into that. But what I will say is the guy, I think his name is something Johnson at Old State, the D line coach. Everyone talks about him being a great, like look at his track record of D1 or not D1, first round draft picks that came out of Old State on their D line.
Did he apply for the Colorado job?
His track record of coaching is better than Warren Sapp's track record of coaching.
Did he apply for the Colorado job?
About what Warren Sapp is as a player. Everyone knows he's a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't. Just because you are a great coach or a great player does not mean you are a great coach.
Did these better people
was he a great coach?
Apply for the job?
Huh?
Did these people apply for the job?
Larry Johnson. I think he's one of the best D line coaches in America, and I would think that his coaching is better than Warren Sapp's right now.
I think you're misunderstanding the question of what I'm asking. Who was better than Marshall Faulk or Warren Sapp that applied for the Colorado defensive line coach and running back coach?
Right.
I don't know that. How would I know that? I don't know.
That's the point.
I don't know.
So you can't call it nepotism when you don't know who was the other applicants for the job.
Exactly.
If that's what you want to go with, that's what you want to go with. I'm saying they got that job because they have a relationship with Deion Sanders. Warren Sapp wasn't going to walk in anywhere else and get that job. He got that job because he's cool with Deion Sanders.
How about Deion Sanders is leveling the playing field?
He got that job because he's cool with Deion Sanders. I think Warren Sapp would have. I think if you ask him to a man, he would rather coach at the University of Miami than he would coach at Colorado, and they wouldn't hire him. If I remember correctly, they didn't hire Warren Sapp. He would rather be coaching there.
So now is Deion wrong for now giving him an opportunity because he was the better candidate than all? Let me finish. If he's the better candidate than all the rest of them, and I give him the job, so now he gets the experience. Because you keep hollering about people having experience in coaching this and that. Well, how do you get experience at coaching if nobody hires you? If you never get an opportunity?
Are you listening to me? I said he can hire him, but if he gets hired by Deion, that is nepotism. Y'all are triggered by the word nepotism. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I think if he hiring, it is nepotism, one, and he might be the best candidate. Two things can be true, but it's still nepotism. That's all I'm saying. Y'all getting triggered like
no. What we're saying is it's not nepotism if you're the best candidate. So if you're the best candidate for a job, you go apply for it.
Who gets to determine that? I think that's what you're losing in the definition of nepotism. Who gets to determine who's the best candidate? That is what you, in the definition of nepotism, it clearly states those who are in power and they have influence. Your definition of who's qualified may be different than the owner of or the person who Bruce Pearl decides to pass this coaching thing off. Bruce Pearl done had his son around. He may say he's more qualified than everybody. Now, because he says he's qualified, does he then become qualified for this job? Because this is the rules you're using. You're saying that Warren Sapp and Marshall Faulk, they're the most qualified by whatever it is that you feel is qualified. Bruce Pearl can use that same logic and that same criteria when selecting his son.
Exactly. And the point is that it's never talked about when white men do it, but it's a problem when black men do it. That we sit in here, we talk about the nepotism of it and all this type of stuff when black men do it. That, hey, just like you just stated, and Eric asking that question now, do we know that Deion and Marshall Faulk are close? Do we know that? Do we know that they're friends? Or do we just know that they're both ex-NFL players? And at one point in time, they both worked at the NFL Network. Does that mean that they're friends though? We don't know that. And my point of it is, and the whole point of the whole thing was talking about white, as when it goes to white folks and white men, is never talked about. We don't even mention of it being nepotism. But as soon as the black man does it, he shouldn't have hired this because, well, he only did that because this is friends. He did this because of this was his son. He put his sons in position for this. It's never even talked about when it comes to white men. That was the whole point of what this conversation was talking about, that it's not talked about when white men do it. It's actually celebrated, but it's looked down upon when black men do it. And that is a problem. For me, that is a serious problem.
I don't necessarily think we have different viewpoints on. I don't think that Deion. I don't think that he was vilified for putting his son in position to succeed. I don't think he was vilified for that though.
Man, when people keep talking about how his son, or even with your analogy of him, and this boy done threw for 4,000 yards and this and that, and you saying, oh, well, he ain't this or he ain't that. Well, he only getting this because of his daddy. That is taking a shot at his dad when you're saying that, because you're saying this boy did not deserve anything that he got.
Quote me correctly.
I did quote you correctly. What you stated previously, that everything that Shador got from his NIL deals to him being in a position to play as much as he did, everything that you stated that he got was off of the strength of his daddy and daddy ball. That's what you said.
What I said was everything that all the sort of accolades we were talking about NIL. Yes, he benefited and got those things in part because his dad is Deion Sanders. What I said was, if his name was another last name and not Sanders, he would not have the NIL money and stuff that he had, and that's not going to change. He benefited from having Deion Sanders as his father, and I said, if you believe that, you have got to be crazy. He benefited from having Deion Sanders as his father.
If you're going to quote me, what I said was that boy had earned the right of what he got off of his performance of what he did on the field, that he earned what he received, not because of his father, is what I said.
Can I read something for you guys real quick? I mean, and I don't want to get too out of whack, but as far as just like a social order and the order of us as human beings and how this thing is supposed to work, there is a proverb that says, the godly walk with integrity, blessed are the children who follow them. So what that is saying is what Bone is saying and what Reem is saying. We all saying the same thing. It's that if you do good in life, okay, The order of this world is for your children to be blessed from your good deeds, from your hard work, from your integrity, from your walk in righteousness, from your focus. And when you do these things, it's only natural for your children to be blessed because of these things. Now, your kids could be blessed because you can send them to college and let them learn some of the things that they want to learn. Or your children could be blessed because you're saying, you can come to work for me. This is something that our family loves to do. But the nepotism, what Remy keeps talking about and what you keep talking about, actually is just the positioning of a parent to be able to bless their child. It's a natural occurrence. And if you know that your child is interested in the stuff that you're interested in while you're observing them and they're growing up, then you could start putting them on the track in order to succeed you when it's time for you to get up out of here. I mean, all of us are seeing the plan when it gets broke on the news, but Bruce Pearl grooming his son to one day become a coach has been in the works for a while.
Exactly.
Deion Sanders grooming Shador, Bronny James being groomed. Man, their parents are putting in work for these kids to be able to take these positions, and it's not a bad thing. I think that Bone is right when he's saying like we're getting triggered by the word nepotism because it does have a negative stigma to it. I mean, just like if I was to walk up and be like, you motherfucker, and you be like, whoa, why would you call me that? And then I say, what? It's just a word. You say, man, but that means something. Okay, right. Nepotism is a word, and we could be getting triggered by it, but this sound means something. It means that somebody got a position because they was a friend, because they was a child, because they was a relative, first and foremost. And secondly, they do it a little bit too. But what me and Remy, I think that we're saying is like in the case with Shador, we feel like he earned it, or Warren Sapp or Marshall Faulk, from them being these NFL players. Like Bone, you know, I think that sometimes we be like, man, he's not qualified as a coach. He hasn't coached yet. He's an NFL player, and just because you played in the NFL doesn't mean that you can coach. That is true, but you do have experience in the game. You've been around coaches. You've seen coaching be done. You've seen all these things be done. And if they don't get a shot to coach, how will they ever get the experience? So somebody's got to give them a chance. And they got the resume, bro. They Marshall Faulk, Hall of Fame, Warren Sapp, Hall of Fame. And these players, while they might not have coaching experience, I do think that they are a big shiny object that's going to be used for recruitment when you go and talk to parents. No, he might not have the coaching experience, but what he does have is star power in order to get those particular players in that the parents are familiar with. So you're saying Warren Sapp is going to be coaching your son. We got Marshall Faulk going to be coaching your son. So to say that they not qualified just because they don't have any coaching experience, don't tell the whole story as to why they might be hired as a coach because of the other things that they bring to the table, not nepotism.
Mm-hmm. So my point of what I'm saying in this is everything you said is true, cuz, but the point of it is that white folks do this all the time. And it's never talked about. It's never even put out with a word of nepotism or anything. White men in coaching have been hiring friends and friends of friends for many, many years. That's not talked about. But what's get talked about is then when Deion hires a Warren Sapp or a Marshall Faulk, well, he just hiring them because his friends. This is what's been going on. This is how so many of these guys that we call great coaches have gotten opportunities because their friend hired them. Their friend hired them with no experience. No experience at all. Some of them never even played basketball, played football, or anything. But I'm gonna hire you. You was an insurance salesman. You ain't even play high school ball. But you know what? Come on, you'll be great at this. And we don't talk about it. This is my point. But when it happened amongst blacks, then it's well talked about. that, it's in the nepotism. Oh, that's nepotism. That came because of this. He only got this because of this. And then we can have black folks that go out and earn something and earn it and play well and perform well. And we still say this is only because of this relation or that relation. And that is my point of talking about this. Why do we only talk about that? We watching a president strictly use nepotism to put his whole family in office in all type of different positions. Strictly nothing but nepotism with people that's unqualified. But yet Obama had the audacity to pull something like that. There's no way it would have ever took place. And that's all that would have talked about. And that is my point of this. Why is it looked upon as a great thing when white people do it, but when black people do it, even blacks talk about it and look at it from a negative standpoint?
Me personally, I think that this conversation is extremely layered, but the part that I will say, what you are talking about is not the nepotism. You're talking about the coverage of nepotism. And that goes directly to what I said as far as the definition of it. The practice among those with power or influence. Those with power and influence in the media sector are those you really mad at, because they cover nepotism totally different for black individuals than they do for white individuals.
That's what I said from the beginning.
No, you said that your argument was that nepotism, you have been saying it didn't exist. You told me that nepotism did not exist.
I never said that. I said the problem is, and what I started off with was saying that white people do it.
That wasn't nepotism what Deion did with his son because he earned it. And what I said was,
that's not saying nepotism does not exist. That's not what. Nowhere in there did I say nepotism does not exist. I've been stating very passionately this whole time about how white people do it, and it's deemed as something great. But we dog out black men. We dog out black fathers. We condemn them. I even talked about the media trying to turn LeVar Ball's kids against him. That was the whole point. And then I said, the problem with it is when other blacks get on that bandwagon and say the same thing about these black fathers, knowing that if they were in that position, they would do the exact same thing for their child. And that's where I feel that it's irrelevant. It's not cool to say, because
so you're saying you're not to call a spade a spade. If you did,
not if you're gonna play the spade, if you got the spade in your hand.
If the truth is the truth, though, Reem. If you did something because your son was there, the truth is you did something because your son was there. That ain't so what? That's what I'm saying. You get
so how do you call it out if you're saying that if I'm in a position, I would do the same exact thing? Then what's the point of calling it out then?
What's the point of calling out that, or making a point that something? I don't understand what you're saying. What's the point of saying what the reality is? That's just like.
What's the point of saying, okay, because you know what that turns to looking like? Jealousy and hatred. Because what you're saying is, I'm calling this out and I'm calling a spade a spade. But if I was in that position, I would do the same thing. So I'm only calling it out because I'm not in the position to do it.
No, it's not, Reem. I'm saying that is consistent. Just like I said, Bruce Pearl, what he's doing with his son is nepotism, and I'm like, okay, it is what it is. And what Deion did with his son is nepotism. It's consistent. It's always the same. It's never going to change. And I don't think that the coverage of it is what may be different and what people change. But my view on it has always been the same. It's never going to change. If a white person does it or if a black person does it, the truth still remains the same.
Right.
That's nepotism. Right. It's nepotism on either side. What you have an issue with is how people cover it. That was not how this conversation started.
That's the initial thing of what I said was how it's covered and how people condemn black men for doing it. That was the whole point of what I was talking about.
No, we did all of this. We went all of these.
You don't like when black men say something about that. If I'm a black man, if I see a black dude that's practicing nepotism, how is that wrong to out that that's nepotism. I think that it's damn near should happen. If Michael Jordan has his brand Jordan and he bring his son up and make him the vice president, so
man,
hey,
come on, man.
What are you expecting? That's nepotism. But so what?
That is the point of the matter is that it's celebrated by whites, but yet we sit here and we want to talk about it when it's happened with blacks. We don't talk. So if this was a conversation to talk about, right, and for the media to cover it, this was what would be talked about every game, about this coach being in this position and this coach being in that, but that's such and such son, or that's such and such thing. But we only hear something about it, and it's put in a negative form when it's dealing with blacks. That is my point.
Well, I think I would have to be fair to the argument. You would have to show me a situation where you had a guy that was a head coach of a football team, much in the way that Deion was, and they're there whoever at whatever position, and the head coach is vilified for it, as you said, because I don't necessarily see it that way. To be honest, I don't. I think if you look at head coaches, I don't even remember really many situations like that in football where coaches had that. I remember, Bowden, he had his son coach, but I can't remember someone that was coaching and their son was on the team like that situation with Deion. I don't. And I think that's a different conversation when you talk about coaches that bring their relatives or friends up in the coaching ranks. It takes on a different look and feel to a lot of people than you having your child on the sideline. And the situation is like Deion with him.
What Man said this right here. Look, I mean, he said that it gets talked about, but it does get talked about, but I don't think that the demonization is there. And there's always going to be a level of demonization when you are attaching black people to anything, man. You know, I mean, media, Bone, not people, just media coverage and the way that things are looked at. And if they're because they're your child don't mean it's nepotism. But if it's sitting on the fence, the media is going to portray it like it's definitely nepotism, you know. And you got to play somebody in order for nepotism to actually be happening. Like somebody got to get shortchanged because you picked your son or your friend or something.
I disagree.
You had to show favor. You showed favor. You showed favor to somebody.
I disagree.
You showed.
You muted, bro.
You said it to show favor.
I think in the case of showing favor, I think that there's situations where just being on the team, you're showing favor to some kids. I think some kids get on some college rosters. Some sons or friend of a nephew or whatever the case may be, they're on the team. If they're ultimately on scholarship, that's nepotism, and they may be on the team and definitely don't deserve to be on the team. They may not have earned the scholarship for whatever reason. That can still be viewed as nepotism. You find. I have heard of that. Coaches, I can't remember an exact example, but I've known of coaches in basketball that may have had a son that's on the team, quote unquote, walk on, but ends up getting a scholarship. That's nepotism, but you don't show them favor by playing them. The mere fact that they're on the team is showing them favor if they're a scholarship athlete.
No, the Luke Walton was ripped not for nepotism because Bill Walton had nothing to do with the Lakers. Luke Walton was ripped because he was an awful coach. That's why he got ripped. He was not a good coach for the Lakers.
But the fact that he was the Lakers coach was nepotism. The mere fact that he's in that position is because of nepotism.
But he was not ripped and it was not talked about it being nepotism. He was talked about because he was being an awful coach. They never talked about him and said, well, he's only in this position because his daddy is Bill Walton. That was never stated by the media. What was talked about by the media was that he was a bad coach. So we can look at it and say that he was in that position because of who his daddy was, but that's never what the media said. Never. Never, never, never was that said about him. It was talked about him being a terrible coach. We can't hear you, cuz.
You muted. Still muted. I think that there was some critique of him getting the opportunities that he's got.
Well,
and
I mean, I don't know if they said the coach. I don't know if they said he was coaching because of his dad, because he had just played for the Lakers. So wait a minute now. It could be nepotism on the Lakers for hiring one of their own. Like the Lakers is always hiring somebody who was a former player and all of this and that. Is that nepotism?
It can be. Yes, it definitely is. But this is what I'm saying. This is not what he was ripped for, though. Nobody talked. Nobody has ever. This is probably the first conversation that's been about Luke Walton being the coach of the Lakers through nepotism. Luke Walton was talked about because he was an awful coach.
Hiring within your organization is nepotism.
Based on if you're showing favor, based on that. It is.
No, I'm saying if you're saying like, no, we want to pick a coach that was a former player, is that nepotism in itself? Or is that just the hiring practice of the Lakers? Like we like to hire former Lakers to be the coach.
I mean, it's a hiring practice. It's basically, it can be viewed as nepotism, but the reality of it is this is what goes on in corporate America all the time. And this is what takes place, that people hire how they want to hire based on what they want to hire. And who they choose to hire. But the thing about it is that when Luke Walton was hired, nobody, because True and D, let me say this. What goes on as far as hiring from athletic directors to owners and everything, people go out and hire people that they cool with. You have athletic directors that maybe have started off at Division II universities and they had a coach that was at the Division II university. When they get that opportunity to move up to a D1, they go back and go find that same coach and bring that coach up with them. So that goes on all the time. My point of talk, or what the whole conversation was about, is that it gets pointed out when we're dealing with black folks and not white folks. This is the practice of what goes on in the NCAA and in the professional sports realm all the time. People are hiring who they're comfortable with. You go out, so you see a guy that say Bone could have been a head coach somewhere, and I was the assistant coach. We get fired from that job. I get picked up at a head coaching job somewhere. Bone looking for a job. Boom, I hire him to be my assistant. This is what you see a carousel through sports all the time. This is what goes on. But it's only talked about when it comes from black folks, that it was nepotism on the hire. That is my point of talking about it. But it goes on 24/7. That is what sports is. All the way around the board. Sports is exactly that. People are going to hire who they're comfortable with. Have you not seen that in college sports and professional sports?
Yeah.
So that is my whole point, is that it's only talked about when it becomes a thing as far as black folks. But we can move on from this subject though, because this is. I mean, it is what it is, and the point of the matter, and it's not going to change, and we're going to see more nepotism hires. We're going to see all that type of stuff happening every day. I just don't like the way that it's presented when it's amongst the black folks, and especially when people have talent and that their talents are being saying that they're not there, or they're only getting something because of this is that.
Okay. Who has the power in the media? Wow.
Yes, Tamika, we already know who has the power. That's the point of the conversation of how we are being perceived in the media and by the media and what goes on. That is the point of that, of bringing it all to light so that we can start. And so now, as Black people understanding that and keep on bringing that to light, it is a problem. It's a serious problem.
Let me see if I can find this thing. Oh boy, Delta State. Go ahead, Joe. I wanted to show you guys something. Okay. Well, here I wanted to. Okay.
Like you said, in the school system, we were required to interview 3 candidates for every job, even though we had already picked someone who already knowing who was going to be the hire for the job. That is definitely true. And Chad said nepotism is American as apple pie, and that is definitely the truth. And my point of it is like I said, just how it is perceived with us. And I don't like when we contribute to
how do you perceive nepotism though, Reem? That's where I get lost in it. I perceive nepotism, me, as something that's going to happen, and it always has. And however it's viewed by other people isn't necessarily my concern. To be honest, people are going. I think the expectation, if the media has been covering you in a certain way for so long, that's going to be expected. But the way I respond and the way I move and the way I navigate throughout the system is how I move. And that can't affect me as much as, I mean, the media's going, you almost expect them to have the response, be shocked when they don't. That's my
point. That's actually the problem.
It's not a problem.
No, the problem is
that's what I'm saying. What do you view as a problem?
The problem is that we just expect it. And that's what it is now. That is the problem. So it becomes cool for everything to jump on a bandwagon or something of when a Black man is trying to put his kid in a position to be successful, this and that, and we jump on it and we make it into a negative thing. And we just expect that now because that's how the media does it. And it's not cool.
But the thing is, I guess it's all a matter of perspective, because what happens specifically with Deion Sanders, I hate to keep going back to that, but I don't view it as people coming. You said jumping on the bandwagon. It's not jumping. Deion, like I said, he put his son in a great position. But I think when people critique, he put himself in a position to be critiqued. And I think the same goes for white people. But I think more importantly, the whole nepotism piece is like, man, what nepotism should show you, the first part of the definition is you have to be in a position of power or influence. And I think that is the biggest takeaway for Deion Sanders. You weren't in a position of power or influence, and you sort of thought you were, and your children paid for it. He talked a big game prior to the draft, and if he had the kind of leverage that, for instance, a Bruce Pearl had when it comes to being able to put his son in a position, things may have been he had that level of influence while he was at Jackson State and when he was at Colorado. But as it relates to the NFL, he doesn't have any power or influence. And to get up in front of a television and tell people what teams you are not going to play for, that comes from your father, and it had a negative impact on his son. He wasn't in a position of power or influence, so you can't talk like you are. And that is, I think, in the nepotism definition, that should be the thing that, in my opinion, we should take, is that we have to put ourselves in positions where we can make the influence, where we can have the conversations in media that you want to have in a way that you want to have them. But it's not going to change the fact that people are going to get critiqued, especially when you have the persona and sort of the grandiose like a Deion Sanders. It is what it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a great question, Chad put there. Why does he need to be critiqued for putting his children in positive positions? And that,
right,
and that.
I'm not critiquing him. I'm not critiquing him for putting him in a positive position.
Bro, I'm not we already know. We know this argument.
We're
now.
not critiquing him. I'm not critiquing Deion. I just critique Shador as far as how he plays. I ain't critiquing Deion. That it was good that he put him in that position.
What you say, cuz of?
Well, I just wanted to get you guys' take on this. Now, I wanted to play a video. And this video, there was an NBA YoungBoy concert. Okay. And with the video,
a hell of a pivot.
I mean, we need to hard pivot off of that, but this shit is still serious right here. What we about to talk about. This
man, I don't even know who NBA YoungBoy is.
NBA YoungBoy is the Chris Brown of rap for these young little bros. So, well, NBA YoungBoy, he lit. All right. So anyway, he had a concert, and there was an attendant at the concert that, like an usher, that shows everybody where their seat is. So he came to this kid and asked him to move because he was in the wrong seat. And then the video I'm gonna show you is what happened. So here we go. You can see this man right here on the ground. Now that old man right there. Yes, he got drugged. The young boy had drugged him and threw him on the ground right there. Kind of like roughed him up a little bit. I didn't get it's like right at the start of the video. Maybe you can catch it. See, throw him down to the ground, right? Now here's the old man. Now watch this.
Hey, cuz, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even want to even give any type of ignorance like this, any type of
what are we doing?
Yeah, I don't even want to address or even this is just ignorance. That's just purely ignorance, man. That's not even worth giving that the time of day, man. For some young kids to do that like that.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait. Okay. First of all, it does need to be given some attention.
No, it doesn't. This
could be my father working at one of these places.
That's what I was gonna ask. Why was that old man at that concert?
And the thing of it is,
he worked there. He worked there, and he asked the kid.
This is not. That is purely ignorance, and it's ignorant of that kid to do that. And we're not giving that type of shit a platform to even talk about. That is just ignorant, man. That is just some ignorant ass behavior that is not worth addressing at all.
Now, wait a minute. I don't think that we're looking at this the same way.
No, we definitely not, because I don't want to entertain ignorance on our platform at all.
Well, hold on. Let bro cook. He had a question for it.
I'm not giving this ignorance a platform. What I'm doing is I am asking about the time that we are living in right now. That we are seeing this type of behavior, just complete and utter disrespect of beating, and then the crowd standing around watching, recording it.
Ignorance.
That's my point in talking about it, because bro, like, I got sons and grandsons, and they're growing up in this world, bro. And if we don't discuss this and we don't figure out the frame on how to control this and corral this and fix this, this will be me in 10 years getting beat up like this by some kid. This man is 66 years old, been working at this stadium for 17 years. Okay. And this is what he gets. So to me, I would just ask you guys, like, what is the solution to this type of mind frame for this to be okay?
If nothing about that is okay. So I don't understand how anybody stood there and watched that. I don't understand how just because you're in the wrong spot and you're asked to leave that you react like that, and that is your behavior. That's just ignorance. I don't even know how you even deal or even talk to or anybody that has a mind state of that type of ignorance. For you to be a young kid to be,
go to jail? Should he go to jail for doing it?
Yes, that's assault. So yeah.
What's an appropriate amount of time to
whatever the law says that you should get for assault? I don't feel that I can make that judgment. I'm not in the law. So whatever the penalty is that the law that is stated for assault gives him, that's what he should get.
Boom.
I'm with that. Yeah, I'm with that. That's an easy one. I mean, to do that to someone, whatever is going on in the kid's mind, to do that to someone, clearly that man was old. And to fire on him like the way he did, that's just crazy. And it shouldn't even been a question. Go to jail.
Do you think
he should have been arrested right then and there? Right there.
And it looked like security was around when he started swinging on that man like that. Should have got rushed and taken to jail.
Exactly. And somebody and nobody should have stood around and watched that. Where was his boys at to be like, hey man, what are you doing? That ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? So now that's where the accountability of black folks got to come in at. And this is not on the artist. So I don't want to hear the media now blame it on the music because this was at this concert, this and that. No, this was an individual being ignorant as hell that it had nothing to do with the music.
The music got a lot to do with it. The music got everything to do with it. The music got everything to do with it. Music got everything to do with it. And I made that same type of music, and that music is evil. It's, man, a lot of it, bro, is only about encouraging this shit right here. This is what our music is. The music is so treacherous and so violent and so vile that I really think that these record labels and the people who are distributing this music are the same people that are bringing drugs into this country. And they're using these rappers as the people to endorse their product. The same way LeBron sell Nike, they use these rappers to sell their drugs. And the rappers are going so far to name their songs Percocet, Molly Percocet, the fentanyl. They like, I don't know, bro. Like, it's a reversal of the times, bro. It's a real reversal of the way that things used to be. It used to be like the field niggas and the house niggas. And it seemed like the field niggas was a little tougher, you know, and they didn't participate in certain things. But honestly, no, what I'm saying is, like, these music industry people, they portray themselves as like rebellious, like people that are like revolutionaries, and they would be considered the field niggas. But when you look at it, bro, they go and do the job of the master, of convincing our kids to get out here and filling their mind with poison, filling it up so much that it overflows out into their actions, beating an old man. The music is the problem. Can't blame the music. We have to blame the music because, bro, we're not built. We're not built. Hold on, bro. Let me get mine off. We are not built.
We're gonna talk after this.
For what?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
What is it, cuz?
Go ahead. Come on, man. We trying to have a platform of what we trying to do here, and what we trying to go at, man. Like I said, that type of shit right there that we just saw is not what we're trying to use this platform for. To what we trying to do for the For Shits and Giggle podcast, man. You know what I'm saying? At all. And then, man, this is going somewhere that we're not trying to go. at all. Like
we just gonna have to have
social. This is a social issue. It's the same thing as talking about Charlie Kirk or talking about nepotism or talking about how we can just be better. But if you would rather just talk about sports, then we will. But I thought that we would be able to like at least expand and just talk about some of the things that we could fix within our culture too. As
so
well.
How do we fix it? So how do we fix it? How we fix it?
I think that we fix it with a lot more love, a lot more being present, and a lot more family. I think that like the structures of our families and just coming together and raising our kids. I mean, I think that the first answer is family, right?
Okay.
And then when you have those good families, I think that creates a better community. It creates a better neighborhood. So that would be my thing. And I think that we need to go into the schools very, very early and adjust how we're learning and how we're teaching. You know, and then I think that
that's
we
big.
More.
That's
I think that we should do.
That's a lot.
I wish you would have got to this point. I wish you would have got to this point a lot faster than just kept talking about the music and all this and that. So keep going. Now you cooking. So let's roll. Let's go. We can talk about solutions. Let's go.
I mean, right. But I was saying though, the changing of the music is, I think that's also a solution. Like, bro, some of the stuff that we soak into ourselves, for some reason, it has a different reaction for us chemically than maybe other groups or whatever. But I don't see other groups like taking the music so seriously as how they should actually conduct themselves. But I've been a victim of that my own self, bro, where listening to music really puts you in the mind frame of this stuff. It does get into you, especially if you're impressionable. So I like for us to look at our music and analyze it and say, oh, wait, this is a problem. I don't think that there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with this discussion. Like I didn't understand where I went wrong.
I ask you this then, okay? Because if we go back into our time, in our day, that you have people that say that Tupac's music was negative and all this and that. And I don't recall Tupac.
Some of it was
advocating violence or advocating this and that. He may have told stories based off of what he saw and a reflection of the world, which is the same that goes on in TV shows and movies. Okay, so why do we want to start to censor our own music when we're not censoring anybody else's? And there does need to be more conscious of, but I don't listen to this age of rap music enough to know exactly what they're saying. And the songs that I have heard, I really couldn't understand what they were saying because they're just mumbling. So I can't say that anything that was said in that song, right? I can't say that anything in that song should have led to that dude doing what he did to that man. That was a choice that he made. And I think to blame it on the music is that's not cool, because now we got to blame everything. We got to blame the news. We got to blame everything that we see on TV and media, because that's what is going on. So now we shouldn't have no TV. We shouldn't have no radio. We shouldn't have no internet. We shouldn't have no anything, because this is what's going on. But the reason I didn't want to give, like, we could have talked about this issue and talked about that with showing that, because see, that shit get legs with this new generation. When that shit gets seen out here, everybody, they running it, they liking that. That's the shit that they liking on social media. That's some shit that, man, it is no excuse for anybody to do an older person like that. It is not no reason at all. You at a concert, this man doing his job, he asked you to move, you in the wrong session. That shows. So what it definitely shows about nowadays is that there's a lack of respect for elders. Period, right. Point blank. Because in no form of fashion is that cool. So yes, we can address that type of social issue there, but what we can't do is just blame everything on the music and stuff like that, because I don't think any of us, I know I don't. Do y'all listen to enough of this music in today's generation to really know what is being said and what it is? I don't. So I can't even really make a comment about the music. All I know is what we grew up in, and I heard that people talk about, from Scarface to Ghetto Boys to even Will Smith. They call him a gangster rapper, all type of stuff, and that wasn't what our music was. So their generation probably gonna view this differently too. Even though, like I said, there's nothing that I wanna listen to, because I can't understand anything that they say when I have listened to it. So I just don't think it contributed to what took place there. I think that was just a terrible choice by a terrible person to do something like that.
Yeah, I think that it's seeing it though. If you would have told me and described that, it takes a whole different shape and form when you see that video. That was horrendous. To have that dude do what he did, that's just, and what do you do? The sad part, when you see stuff like that, in my opinion, is that guy is one individual. But the sad part is that there are people that will see that same video, and the level of disgust and distaste I have for that. There's people out there that'll celebrate that and say that's what that man got for messing with whatever that dude is. And that, I think that's the bigger problem, is that there's people that will look at that and find that it was okay. And that, I don't know how much you point to the music, but I just look at the individual his mind can't be right to do something like that. I think, to use myself as an example, when we were younger, the music that we listened to, I think it has an influence on who you are. I used to listen to certain music because it would get me hyped up. I'll just be honest, like before a game. But to what degree does that take you to? And if you feel like the music take you to a point where you can't act rationally or make good decisions, then you got a problem. I can only speak for me, but some people don't have that same level of judgment, or, because you hear some people say they listen to certain songs before they've done crimes and stuff like that. And the music is a factor in that. So yes, I think it has its place. It doesn't have that place for me, but I'm in a totally different space.
We're listening to, you guys, I think that we are making a lot of war music. And I think that the war music that we are creating is for us to end up going to war on ourselves. And we're ingesting this. Like, man, our body literally is nothing more than just a temple, bro. Not a temple, but a vessel. And whatever we putting into our body, all right, it's filling it up. It's filling it up. And you can only ingest so much of this before it comes up, fills up, and spills out. And it spills out with your words, what you say, and your actions. That's the overflowing of this violence. If you fill yourself up with positive things, with loving things and family messages, you'll see the production of loving actions. You'll see how people are actually behaving and conducting themselves. So on the solution side, I think that family structure is a lot better. And the way that we learn, it has to be more exciting to the kids. So we must have, I feel as though like somehow trying to Trojan horse the message to the kids somehow, some way, like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. We have to make learning fun and interesting to these kids to be able to get their attention. So we might have to go outside the classroom. We might have to do something, but find something not traditional and something that's not going on right now. We need to bring something else in. Now, I don't know exactly what that might be, but I would think the way that we learn would be the first step getting kids more interested in school.
Yeah, for kids learning, yeah, there can be some non-traditional ways or out of the box ways to help kids learn. But what we also have to get out of the mind state of making an excuse for kids to think that education has to be entertainment, because sometimes 1+1 is equals 2. And you need to sit down and learn that 1+1 equals 2. It ain't no way that I could put it in a song form, dance it for you, and all this and that. 1+1 is 2, and you got to be able to learn. But the whole point of a lot of this is of having emotional intelligence. So just like Bone said, he listened to certain music that maybe got him hyped before games. Now, I was the type of person that I could listen to R&B music before a game and listen to rap music before a game, and still was going to have the same energy level and the same thing before going to play a game, because I listen to music for different things, but it does not shape my mind to me I'm about to go do this because I heard this in a song. We cannot be that influenced by things that go on. If you're a married man and you listening to songs all the time talking about creeping and, oh, this person make this song and I'm messing with this woman, does that mean you go out and cheat? No, that's not what that means. At some point in time, you have to take self-accountability for who you are and not let outside things influence you to make bad decisions and bad choices. And these kids have got to learn to grow up and quit thinking it's cool to make all these bad decisions and do these bad things and do flat out bad things to people. That was something that a bad person does. And then not only that, for people to sit around and tape it and watch it, they just as bad as he is. Because that's some things that's different now, because we wouldn't have watched nothing like that. There's no way that the three of us could have been at a concert back in the day and some 66-year-old person saying, hey, y'all ain't supposed to be right here. And you get to cussing at him or something. We don't be like, man, chill out. The other two are like, man, chill out. What are you doing? But I'm sure you wasn't going to swing on them and we going to sit there and watch it and video it. Ooh. No, we let yoke you up ourselves. Like, man, what are you doing? And that's the problem now. There's no accountability. And there's no type of true friendships on everything to call somebody out like, hey, dog, you're wrong, man. That ain't cool.
You know who recorded this video? A pastor. A pastor was at this concert and recorded this video. Look, he's in here a little later on. I watched the whole video earlier. Oh, well, I'll bring it back up. But yeah, a pastor actually recorded this. This guy here is a pastor of this. He said that he wanted to record this video and put it out so the world can see all of the crazy stuff that's going on. This guy is the pastor. See, Pastor Robert McDaniel.
So is he a solution or part of the problem?
Well, he wanted people to see this so they could talk about stopping things like this from happening at the root, I suppose. I mean, that's basically what he was saying here when they was asking him what did he see and why he recorded it. And they asked him why he released it. Let's see if we can. I don't know if y'all can hear or not.
No, we can't hear nothing.
Y'all couldn't hear that. He said this is his video. But let's move on to something else. We can do our power rankings for the top and then get up out of here. Yeah, is that cool?
Power ranking is for what category? As far as what we think the best 5 teams in the NFL after week 3.
Chad said we watch Faces of Death. We did.
Right. We definitely did watch that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah,
but a lot of them little killers watch that around the hood. Faces of Death. The next thing you know, the crime rate increase. But all right, so what's up? What's up with the top 5 teams in the NFL? Can we just do our top 5 for up until week 3?
Top 5. Do they have to be in a particular order, or you just have your top 5 teams? Because I don't know what my order is right now.
Yeah, no particular order.
Yeah.
Okay, my top 5 would be Philly, Buffalo, I would still have the Rams in there. Buffalo, Rams, Detroit. Did I said Philly?
Yeah. You got one
more. Baltimore.
You got Baltimore.
Even at one.
Pittsburgh is what? 2-1?
2-1.
Pittsburgh.
We're not playing well though. Not in a good spot right now. We gotta fix up some stuff on the offensive line.
But you put Baltimore above them, and they 1-2.
I'll put the Chargers.
I think
in
Baltimore
there.
is still a threat, and actually, I think Green Bay would be in there too. But I don't trust Jordan Love like that right now. But yeah, it's only 3 weeks. It'll change. It'll change next week.
I'll say
the Chargers may be coming up too.
Yeah, I like the Chargers. I like the Chargers right now. I'll go Chargers, Buffalo, Philadelphia. Damn, Chargers, Philadelphia, Buffalo. Man, can you put Baltimore in there? Tampa Bay Buccaneers been looking kind of good too. I'll go Detroit. Definitely Detroit. Detroit is looking nice. Baltimore is 1-2, but can I still put them in there, man? They defense just ain't been.
It seemed like you just want to take big roles.
I go Washington. I like Washington. Washington too.
I definitely like. I think that the Eagles, they've looked good. They've won some close games, but they just as well could have lost some games too. So I kind of the same way that they pulled some games out. And I'll go with the Ravens, even though they lost a couple close games, but they could have won those games also. So that it's always a toss up with that, especially early on. Even though a team might lose a couple games in close situations that could have went either way. And then I'll go with I've liked seeing what I've seen with Washington too. Washington has looked pretty good. I've liked, except for on Sunday, what the Packers have been looking like, and then they just kind of crumbled down the stretch on Sunday. But I still put them up there now after week 3, and then the last one I will go with. I guess I have to go with the Steelers with being 2-1, just after the first 3 weeks. But yeah, these rankings have changed every week because you're going off of just how teams look so far through the season. So we'll see as the year goes on who ends up being the best.
I like the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers, man. I think the Steelers
they don't look good right now.
Yeah, they just won.
They don't look all the way good, but they finding a way to win, and then they just got like I don't know, it's something about them. I think
won
come out of that division,
New England. They had to have 5 turnovers, and 2 of them came in the end zone. They fumbled. New England fumbled going in, and New England threw an interception into the end zone. That's hard to win games and do consistently. Usually most teams are going to cash in those situations. So they got to sort of fix some stuff before I'm looking at them like they are.
But what are they though? They 2-1.
They 2-1. I trust Mike Tomlin.
But they played New England. They played AFC East teams, and the AFC East sucks. New England and the Jets aren't real good teams. And then we lost to who was it that we lost to?
Buffalo? Not they ain't played them.
No, never. I can't remember who it was. Was it?
See.
Who did they lose to?
week 2, didn't they lose week 2 to the Seahawks?
Yep. Yeah, to the Seahawks, dude. Oh my God, that was at home too. It was a terrible loss.
Lost that, right?
They were in the game. They could have won, and then they gave up a touchdown on a kickoff. The dude touched the ball and allowed the man recover it in the end zone. So those sort of mistakes you look at like, man, you're not really ready to be a
championship
type team. They make some mistakes that you just gotta fix, and the defense don't look right. If the defense gets together, then they'll look a lot better.
But the good thing is it's week 3. So that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he's still having those same mistakes, that goes for them, Baltimore, and some other teams. If you still having those same mistakes in week 10, week 12, then that's when you're gonna have a problem. So we'll see if they improve and if things get better. So that's the power ranking so far through week 3 of what teams we think. So basketball season is coming up around the corner. Training camp and stuff be getting started here pretty soon. So we have more to talk about than just the football side of it. So what's the for shits and giggles for tonight? And
for shits and giggles, let's see what mine is. we need to have better preparation for shits and giggles. I'll tell you one thing.
I was gonna ride out for the anniversary for the entire week. And coming back home, we had even more fun than what I thought. But the funny thing about that is we didn't really do nothing at all but had a ball.
Right.
So we didn't go anywhere. Everybody that came, they all went to the Chris Brown concert, which we didn't do, but went out and ate, enjoyed family, got to see my family out in Vegas.
Yeah. So, Anthony, you seen Anthony out there, Bone?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I remember Anthony when we was kids, bro. Yeah.
And we had a real good time with fam, and it was dope. And we realized we getting older and we don't even have to do stuff like go to clubs or do this, that, and the third. It was just chill, bro. Enjoying one another's company, and that was out of control. 22 in, and I do it all over again.
Man, yeah, bro. That's fire, bro.
What's up? That's what's up.
That's
and I returned home, and my man hadn't tore up nothing. So I'm extremely happy and excited about that. Nothing broke. Everything is in operations. We're good over here.
Well, my for shits and giggles. I got mine. I know what mine is. My for shits and giggles is Remy just trying to get mad at me for nothing. and then
I was about to say, bro, you got to stand on some things. I want to support you in that. Ring try to cut you off and not let you get your stuff off.
You told me to shut up, and he gonna have to have a talk with me.
What kind of shit? I ain't tell you to shut up. I don't even use that word.
He tried to scold you lightweight. He said, "No, you didn't tell me to shut up," but you said, "No, we ain't gonna even do that."
Hey, some shit is just some ghetto nonsense, man. And what I just saw there, man, that was disgraceful, man. You know, some things that just disgust you. And so for my shits and for shits and giggles, we can laugh at how it took place as far as our on the podcast here. But that video itself just was disgusting, man. It really was. It was disgusting to see something like that.
When I seen it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah. I sent it to y'all though. Because when I seen that, I couldn't believe it.
You gotta let my bro get to his point. He said, "Wait a minute, I have something to say," and you like, "No."
Man, I'm like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Let's get to where we're going with a solution, because you know I don't want nobody to ever look at something and whether they see it for 5 or see a reel or something off of us for 5 or 10 seconds and think that we condone it some shit like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, man, like, and it was just, man, that was one of the some of the worst things that I've seen, man. That was really disheartening, man, to see that somebody could do that, man, because we all got older relatives and stuff out here, man, and to see somebody do something like that, man, that's sickening, man. It's sickening.
I believe it.
And so like I said, for shits and giggles, it took us to a place where and we came back in it, so we can now giggle about it and how it all took place on here and everything. But man, I would truly definitely say that video was for the shits, and it definitely was disgusting too.
Yeah, that was wild. All right, everybody, we love you all, man. Thank everybody for watching. We're gonna be back tomorrow.
Yep.
Get in tomorrow.
What time? Bone, you good for tomorrow?
Bone, are you good for tomorrow?
TBD. I gotta talk. I don't know. I have to see.
All right. We'll see, everybody. We'll make sure we send out the link. We'll figure it out. I gotta go get Maya from school. She's got to come down and get some dental work done down here real quick and then shoot right back up. Man, my baby is working so hard at Ohio State, bro. Works on the weekends, going full-time classes. So
hey, that's what's up, man. I mean, so happy to hear that, bro.
I can't wait to see her, bro. That's gonna be fire,
I'm proud of Nisi.
All right, man. Love everybody, you guys, for shits and giggles. See you tomorrow. We got to do our picks, so let's just jump on real quick tomorrow just to do our picks for this week coming up. And then,
all right. If you don't quit hitting the mute button and mute yourself,
my dog, man. I think this cable that's in this mic is jacked up. All right, but man, love everybody for the fourth time. All right, see y'all soon. Peace and love, man.
Salute.